Okay, so this is our company analysis presentation. The company that we were assigned to analyze is called Heptio. So let's give a brief introduction on Heptio. Heptio is a company which was formed by the very same founders as a project known as Kubernetes. Now, Heptio was built to support and advance Kubernetes by providing services and tools around the container management system. Okay, so before we continue talking about Heptio, let's talk a little bit about Kubernetes. So what is Kubernetes? Kubernetes is an open source system which was designed and developed by Google. It was a system that is created to automate deployment, scaling, and manage containerized applications. However, though the system proves to be very useful and very capable, Kubernetes still has some issues regarding the provided toolchain and the ecosystem itself. Thus, simply put, it is quite tedious and complex in terms of utilizing and adapting Kubernetes to scaled down businesses and enterprises. This is where Heptio comes in. Heptio aims to simplify and scale Kubernetes for developers and operators, making it much more easier to comprehend and understand. Heptio does this by providing tools and utilities, as well as services. Ever since the company was formed, Heptio has managed to gain massive amount of attention and equal amounts of support. In a span of only 1 year, it has managed to raise over $30 million in funding. Today, the products and services that Heptio provides aims to enable the agility and capabilities of today's internet leaders to be accessible to any enterprise, bridging the gap between enterprise IT and the emerging world of cloud-native computing. Okay, so let's begin by talking about the first topic, which is Heptio's business model. Now, to gain understanding of Heptio's business model, we must first look at the products and services in which Heptio currently provides. The products and services are segregated into three main categories. Let's begin by talking about the first. The first is open source. Open source are in libraries and tools which are free for developers to download and use accordingly. Currently, there are three main tools which are known as KSonnet, Heptio Sonaboy, and Heptio Arc. Each of these tools serve different purposes, and they are free for developers to use and adapt to their own enterprises. The second category is known as products. Well, actually, there's only one product currently, and it is known as the Sonaboy scanner. The Sonaboy scanner actually extends the functionality of the Heptio Sonaboy, which is the open source tool, and takes it that little bit further. And last but not least, the third category is services. Currently, Heptio provides three different types of services. The first being Kubernetes training. Kubernetes training is basically sort of an e-learning course for operators and developers who are looking to gain experience in deploying and running applications in clusters. They can take these courses and apply for them and learn more about Kubernetes. The second type of service is known as professional services. This is where expert Kubernetes solution engineers can help enterprises on specific tasks, such as the preparation for production or use or integration of Kubernetes into existing systems. And lastly, the last type of service is known as support. Uh, Support subscriptions are focused on ensuring that the enterprises have a great experience running upstream supported configurations in production. So, after we've looked at the different types of products and services that Heptio provides, we can categorize each type of product or service, and then see which type of business models it applies to each type. So, for open source, it seems that Heptio has applied the users as expert approach, as Heptio has provided simple tools and libraries in which developers can only create value from it by further implementing the tools and customizing it and adapting it to their own enterprises. As for services, it seems that Heptio has applied the subscription business model, as it charges customers monthly for support servicing, in which the prices will vary according from the size of the enterprise venture, starting from anything up from small teams up to web scale environment. And lastly, in terms of products, it seems that they've selected a production business model. This of course applies to the Sonoboy scanner, the Kubernetes training courses, as well as the professional services. This is because these are the type of quantifiable products and services which can be sold in units. So, who are Heptio's main sources of customers? Since Heptio provides services and tools around Kubernetes, of course, their main customers are those who are using or thinking about using Kubernetes. Furthermore, it must also be mentioned that another sort of subgroup of main customers to be aware of are, of course, the IT and software developers who are working for such enterprises or teams, for they are the ones who directly worked with the concerned systems. Now, to conclude the business model analysis of Heptio, we're going to look at the business model canvas that we've constructed. So, beginning from the different customer segments of Heptio, we believe that there are developers, IT teams, and enterprises. Of course, these are the people that require assistance in running and managing the Kubernetes platform. Okay, now the kind of customer relationship we want to establish with our customers is, of course, through the tools and utilities. We want to establish, like a customer to Heptio loyalty, and also through our professional services. We want to provide the highest quality service for our customers, as well as in terms of the Kubernetes training, we want to provide the highest quality content for our users. In terms of the channels, mainly we are going to communicate with our customers through means of information technology. But in terms of potential customers, the websites is the primary way to access our professional service and tools. In terms of value propositions, of course, we have discussed it many times. It is we are going to bring value to the customer by providing the open source codes, the products, and the services which all were created and designed to support Kubernetes technologies. The key activities, of course, is for us to provide valuable content and tools, useful tools, and also professional services to the developers or IT teams which come to use our service and our content. Of course, this requires key resources such as our own developers, our employees, of course, the internet service and database used to run our websites, and also all the required hardware and software for our developers to use in creating such content. Our key partners currently only include those who are funding us, with whom are Excel and Madrona Ventures. The cost structure should include developer costs, transportation costs, electricity costs, water costs, office rental costs, internet costs, and database costs, fundamentally. And lastly, revenue stream would have to include enterprises and developers who are willing to pay for our tools and services. Okay, so now let's move on to the SWOT analysis of Heptio. Beginning from strengths. We believe that on the first strengths, of course, being able to provide such tools, utilities, and services which requires quite such experts on Kubernetes. Another key strength of Heptio is the fact that the founders of Heptio are actually the very same creators as the Kubernetes system as well. Actually, right after they finish Kubernetes for a while, they actually quit Google just to focus on Heptio. So that might come in handy. And also this means that another strength would have to be the level of expertise and which has resulted in creating tools and services which rivals of Heptio would not possess. Now let's discuss some weaknesses. Since Heptio is a young company, which means that and it's also quite a new concept as well. So the products and services will not be tested. So there might be some risk of working in uncharted waters. Furthermore, being a new company means that there's still much to be learned, and our workers and employees might not have a lot of experience working in this type of company. Furthermore, such a company such as Heptio would not gain much interest from professional users of Kubernetes. Users that are already familiar and experts at bringing out the best out of the system. Knowing all the capabilities and know-how behind Kubernetes. So they won't need the Heptio's services to simplify the system. Also, the fact that Heptio currently only focuses on Kubernetes might be an issue because Kubernetes is not the only container orchestration software out there. And another one is, of course, the fact that it's not available globally yet. It's only available locally within North America. And also the fact that scaling services are quite tedious and difficult to perform and accomplish. Now, in terms of opportunity, since today most enterprises are gradually shifting from to cloud services, as well as being open to using open source tools and software and such. This means that this type of service and products that Heptio is providing is aligned with the current business and information technology trend. The threats, however, is of course if someday Google suddenly decides to provide their own service to Kubernetes, their own baby. So This means that there's a high possibility of being new competitors at any given time. Providing that Kubernetes is quite a widely used service, meaning that there's always a possibility of new entrants. Okay, now moving on to the sixth force analysis. Beginning with the first force being traditional competitors. We have three traditional competitors. These include Qubit, Cubicorn, and Docker. Yeah, these three competitors basically possess similar products and services to Heptio. Okay, the next force would be the new entrants. Since Kubernetes is an open source software, this means that anyone can access it, and anyone with has enough skill set could adapt and make a new service which could be better than Heptio. The third force are the end users and buyers. Of course, these are the people who, the individuals, developers who want to learn about Kubernetes, and want to use the cloud native. The services that provide ease and use of Kubernetes. Anyone who would want to use Kubernetes should be the customer. Currently, though, however, there are no suppliers, so this force is not considered. In terms of substitutes, this is probably the most dangerous threat to Heptio, since its core competency depends on Google's Kubernetes, which is open source. So the problem with this is that users who have enough expertise, may directly use Kubernetes without having the need for the assistance of Heptio, and of course. Any other Kubernetes related open source that can provide better service and better performance or cheaper costs than Heptio. So these are to be aware of as well. Okay, and also such complementary products is also an issue because since Heptio directly serves Kubernetes. Kubernetes is very important and will have very high impact on Heptio. So if Kubernetes suddenly disappears, then Heptio will disappear along with it. So this could be some sort of backfire for Heptio if Google starts to make a move on improving Kubernetes services or making Kubernetes more user-friendly than it already is, which it isn't.
For the marketing strategy, Heptio help reduce the container complexity and seek to drive application container deeper into enterprise IT by making the technology more accessible to the user. Heptio lets the user interact with their product. So if the user is satisfied with their services, they will tell each other. And Heptio also divides a market of potential customers into segments based on their personal characteristics. Moreover, Heptio creates the segments for users who have similar market strategies and similar interests and also the needs. The market of the Heptio is the new developer who want to develop the Kubernetes and the developer who looking for gaining a new experiences of deploying and running applications and clusters or build and run cloud native systems, which for these new developer Heptio have the online courses for selling direct to their new developer to help them create what they want. And also, after we have done the research, we found out that the free ebook that was written by Joe Beda, or the founder of the Heptio, we think that this is also a marketing strategy, which is to spread the name of the Heptio services. Sales strategy. Heptio provides the Kubernetes services for enterprises. Since the Kubernetes was introduced by the Google, it was very difficult for the most of the enterprises to bring this platform to cooperate with their organizations. So Heptio is trying to make the Kubernetes easier for the user to match with their organization. The support that is provided by the Heptio is a subscription-based services. The services help users succeed with their Kubernetes configuration and operations plan that they prefer. And the Kubernetes support system pricing that was designed by the Heptio is to provide the user flexibility of growing the Kubernetes usage in their organization. Heptio came up with 4 packages that provided to the users, which are the starter pack, professional pack, enterprise pack, and the custom pack. They appeal the users by letting users use their open source. Then when the users are interested in their open source, they can buy the Sonoboy or paying for Heptio's services. The services will classified into 2 main services. First one is the professional service. They will provide a professional service to deploy Kubernetes platform for each enterprise. On the other hand, Heptio service, they will provide a full range service for Kubernetes platform to ensure that each enterprise has used the full potential of Kubernetes platform and optimize their performance. Heptio also provide a e-learning to educate new developers who interact in Kubernetes. As a result, they are creating their own business ecosystem which will bonding a young face developer and old face developer to stick with Kubernetes platform, which Heptio trying to help them. So most of them are for the developers or IT team that want to use the Kubernetes platform, or any enterprises that trying to change their system into a cloud native systems. For the competitive advantages, we have divided the advantages into 4 main components, which are the first mover, the future of enterprises, the core competency, and product differentiations. For the first mover, we see that the Heptio was the first one that makes a move on taking the advantage over the Kubernetes, which makes the company has a head start compared to other companies that follow into this industry. The next one, future of the enterprises. For over the past decade, the enterprises steadily evolved towards a cloud-native world. The cloud-native technological shifts that are occurring are accelerating adoption of containers. And further, the most popular way to manage and orchestrate Docker containers is not actually a Docker, it's a Kubernetes, which Heptio is dealing with. So Heptio could be a key platform for the continuing evolution to cloud native, which this attach lots of innovators. The core competencies. The most important thing for the startups is not only the great idea and the big market, but also the right team with the right skill set. Both of the Heptio founders, Craig and Joe, understand the platform inside out. So we can say that the founders of Kubernetes are carrying on their mission as a standalone company, which they have a right skill since they are a former Google employee that create their Kubernetes. The next one is the product differentiations. The knock on Kubernetes is that it's too hard to get started with. So, with the Sonoboy scanner, it does help address that problem by giving users a simple way to make sure all of their Kubernetes clusters are running the same version of the software, which can prevent later problems caused by deploying app to a new cluster running a tweaked version. And for the Arc, it's a little different. That project is designed more for users who are moving Kubernetes into production environments where they need quality disaster recovery options. For the Arc, it's a little different. It's designed more for users who are moving Kubernetes into production environments where they need quality disaster recovery options when something goes terribly wrong. Arc has another benefit if you want to test how certain changes might affect your production environment without screwing anything. You can create an exact version of the cluster on a test server with Arc and see what happens without compromising the entire system.
Competitor analysis. Heptio main competitors. The first one is OpenCredo. This is a lab style container and schedule cost in addition to consulting and solution delivery. The second one is Pythian. Pythian is focused on helping clients design, implement, and manage systems that directly contribute to revenue and business success. The third one is Docker. Docker is the infrastructure independent platform that easily integrates into your existing environment and provides full stack portability for apps to run on today and tomorrow infrastructure. The fourth one is Milantis. Milantis is the hybrid cloud application across OpenStack and other clouds supporting Kubernetes. The OpenStack app package supports full application lifecycle actions such as deploy, create cache, create pod, and container to pod, scale up and scale down. The last one is Kubet. Kubet is daemon tool that combines useful functions for the user. It can perform periodic cluster snapshot, provide temporary storage of delete object, perform automatic event forwarding, deliver notification via various channels. Heptio business strategy is to serve the best Kubernetes support service by using two main categories of strategy, generic strategy and competitive strategy. For generic strategy, there's the growth, internationalization, and sticking to the knitting. And for the competitive strategy, Heptio is concerned about giving the higher quality service than the competitor. So they have to sell their service at lower price than their rival, but maintain service quality. Serve the service that no one serves, especially the niche service in the market.